After a comprehensive defeat by India during Operation Sindoor, Pakistan Foreign Minister runs to China. Pakistan faced a drubbing as it used Chinese weaponry that was destroyed by Indian indigenous arms. What happens next? We decode. Trump administration plans to slap a 5% tax on remittances by non-citizens. The move set to hit a large part of Indian diaspora. There are H-1B holders and green card holders. Will the 3-year-long war between Russia and Ukraine finally end? A crucial Trump and Putin phone call could decide the roadmap towards a possible peace settlement. Question remains, will Zelensky have any say whatsoever in this process? And aiming to better defense and trade ties, after Brexit in 2016, Britain agrees for a complete reset with the European Union, inks pacts that also paves the way for greater collaboration between the two sides. Viewers, one action, one stroke, and Bangladesh is left staring at a massive 9,000 crore rupee loss. Well, for weeks and weeks, Mohammad Yunus went on and on about India's northeastern states. From direct to indirect threats that continued about India's northeastern states being choked off from mainland. And finally, New Delhi has acted. It has turned the tables on China. It has cut off 42% of Bangladeshi exports to India overnight. Dhaka's $770 million export earnings have been very significantly hit. Why is this pivotal? Well, Dhaka exports 93% of its garments via land ports, and those land ports are now out of bounds as far as the Bangladeshi exports are concerned. The DGFT has slammed the door on this, restricting all ready-made garment imports to just two seaports, that is Kolkata and Nhava Sheva, where just 7% of garment exports actually come from. So what was once a very freely land border between the two sides, freely tradable, garments, processed food, plastics, all of it coming in, has now been completely choked. Now, why the hardball? Well, at the end of the day, Mohammad Yunus has to be blamed for it because, as I said, his commentary was threatening and directly threatening India's sovereign interests. Well, transit fees have also been slapped on Indian cargo. Dhaka's pivot to China is the reason why this is happening. And worst of all, Mohammad Yunus calling, as I said, India's northeastern states landlocked. So what's the message that India is giving? Very clear. You can't burn bridges and still expect a welcome mat. Bangladesh's garment industry, which is its cash cow, worth $700 million in India alone, is now completely cornered. As I said, land routes have a very small percentage to play in the overall pie. Now, if that happens at a time when Bangladeshi economy is going through its very significant downturn, the impact could be cascading. Impact could be cascading on both the employment, on the growth prospects, and of course will also further or potentially destabilize Mohammad Yunus's regime as well. It is unelected is one thing, its interim is another thing, but the fact that it is playing an active role in making people worse off by impacting their livelihoods is a completely different game. In fact, India, as it protects the northeastern states, it's also looking to protect the northeastern markets. And that is another aspect why it has decided to cripple Dhaka's one-sided trade tactics. The restrictions Dhaka thought would pressure Delhi have actually boomeranged. Now, after the blow, Dhaka says it wants to talk. Yes, after months of raising barriers, cozying up to Beijing, coming up with commentary that is threatening India's sovereign interests, Bangladesh's interim regime wants a dialogue. Looks like when the shoe's on the other foot, reality bites. And for Dhaka, it just did.
7 states of India, eastern part of India, called Seven Sisters, they are landlocked country, landlocked region of India. They have no way to reach out to the ocean. We are the only guardian of the ocean for all this region. So this opens up a huge possibility. So this could be an extension of the Chinese economy, build things, produce things, market things, bring things to China, bring it out to the whole rest of the world.
Let's turn attention now to the other important neighbor that we have, Pakistan. Well, it got a major drubbing after Operation Sindoor. 9 of Pakistani air bases completely demolished by India's indigenous weapons and their superiority on full display. What was Pakistan using? It was using the Chinese weaponry. So what is it now planning to do after Operation Sindoor? Though it's still on, but after Operation Sindoor's defeat, well, it goes to China, doesn't it? So that's what the Pakistani foreign minister is doing. He's off to China. Who knows what for? Maybe to get more of those weapons, well, which have been defeated very significantly by India. But what could be the larger implications of this, given the fact that it opens, of course, another possibility that we've been in India have been saying for a while in terms of the collusion between Pakistan and China. More importantly, the messaging that Pakistan is trying to send by going for its first foreign visit to China and, of course, looking at a tripartite meeting, trilateral meeting between between Pakistan, Afghanistan and China. Ramifications of that, the impact of that is something that we will decode. But first up, I want to get in my colleague Shivaru to understand from him the optics that are at play here and what is it that we should now be watching out for. Shiv.
Well, the optics are actually quite terrible for Pakistan, Gauri, because Ishaq Dar, who is the foreign minister of that country, as well as the deputy prime minister, has had an especially rough week. Not only has his country, been at the receiving end of, a historic military operation by India in a non-war scenario, where virtually their entire military had been paralyzed and they had to come to the ceasefire table. It's also Ishaq Dar, who was a victim of a huge amount of fake news peddling in Pakistan's parliament. So he's been exposed to be a little bit of a motor mouth, a little bit of a cartoonish character here, who is the deputy prime minister of that country. And as protocol demands between a master state and a vassal state, he has been summoned to China for for briefings and to provide information as to how India was able to pin Pakistan down so convincingly and so persuasively in such a short time, in just a matter of a few hours and days. Remember that China has a lot to worry about in this stance, because war is a serious business. Weapons are always to be taken seriously, but there is very significant reason to believe that Chinese weapons mostly performed suboptimally in Operation Sindoor, as a result of which Pakistan was not able to put up a credible defense to the Indian offensives. So that's another piece of conversation that will have to be had between China and Pakistan. But overall, I think both China and Pakistan will have to be trying to figure out what the next dynamic is. Because let's be clear about one thing, Gauri, and you know this better, being a China expert yourself, that this ceasefire couldn't have happened without Chinese blessings. Pakistan's military offensive against India, against population centers, couldn't have happened without some kind of facilitation by China. They use Chinese drones, Chinese missiles, Chinese air defense systems, Chinese aircraft, Chinese artillery in Kupwara, where I reported from. And therefore, China has a lot to answer for as well, given that it was these instruments of defense that were used to target civilian centers here in India. So India will, of course, be looking very closely at this relationship between China and Pakistan. But let's make no mistake, the rules of engagement have changed. And there are real implications for China as well. And I think this meeting between Ishaq Dar and his counterpart in China, Wang Yi, will hopefully reveal more.
Absolutely, Shiv, we leave it there. Really appreciate you joining us live on India Global with that perspective. At the end of the day, those big questions that we are putting forth to our guests, it is about the arms, the funding, the strategic message, and that's exactly what we are putting out. First up, will there be more arms that China will provide to Pakistan? It did so, it backfired, but will that gravy chain continue? At what cost? That's the first question. Next up, we are asking, what about the funding? Again, China has been bankrolling a large part of the Pakistani economy. It's a separate discussion as to who is really siphoning off, whether it's going to the generals or the economy. But the fact is, will that gravy chain also continue, or could that see a change? Next, the messaging in terms of saying that China is the first visit of the Deputy Prime Minister after Operation Sindoor that India conducted. What is the messaging there? particularly for New Delhi? And last up, the question that we are putting forth, the collusion, the China-Pakistan collusion from a military side, from a economic side, and of course from a strategic point of view. Veena Sikri, former ambassador, and Brahma Chilani, strategic affairs expert, joins me live on these aspects of a story that we need to keep a very close watch on. And Mr. Chilani, let me start with you. The fact is, the optics are on full display. And also, of course, Pakistan would like to take back home something after that drubbing it received from India. But what, according to you, could be the most important takeaway that New Delhi should be keeping a very close watch on as this meeting unfolds?
The Sino-Pakistan strategic nexus is a long-standing nexus that imposes high costs on India because there's no other country in the world that is wedged between two nuclear-armed revisionist states. Both China and Pakistan are revisionist states in relation to India. Each lays claim to sizable swaths of Indian territory, and both work together in seeking to contain and tie down India. So for China in particular, Pakistan is a very cost-effective way to contain India. And that's the reason why over the years, China has even transferred nuclear weapon designs and complete missile systems to Pakistan. In fact, after the Pahalgam massacre, China rushed new weapon systems to Pakistan, including air-to-air missile systems that Pakistan used when India launched Operation Sindoor. So in a way, Pakistan was indirectly involved in Pakistan's military campaign against India. And Ishaq Dar's visit to Beijing is essentially a thank you visit where he will pay obeisance to China. And the Chinese Foreign Ministry today in a briefing said that it reiterated that Pakistan is China's all-weather strategic friend,
Yes.
and that China is ready to work with Pakistan to further strengthen the close ties between the two countries. So it's clear
Yes.
that despite India's efforts over the years to break this nexus between China and Pakistan, that nexus has only strengthened.
That nexus has strengthened. We need to watch out for the collusion. Where will it play out, whether in geopolitics, whether in the military domain, given the fact that how it unfolded last month, and of course, in terms of the economic partnership as well. But Veena Sikri, come in there. What is it? What is the kind of commentary that you would be watching out for when this meeting ends?
Well, let me say first of all that Pakistan must be extremely embarrassed, and so must China be, because of the poor performance of the weaponry, the missiles, the air defense systems supplied by China to Pakistan. I think this is a matter of great commentary, not only within India.
Pakistan could be embarrassed, but it could also be the Chinese defense companies who would be going back to the drawing board that they are getting defeated by Indian indigenous weaponry.
Absolutely, and we know that their stocks have absolutely taken a nosedive,
Yes.
the Chinese defense companies, after this. And the way in which the duds, we know that in Punjab and Jammu and Kashmir, duds, unexploded missiles sent by Pakistan, obviously of Chinese origin, have landed and are now in Indian hands, and which will give us a good intake into what these missiles are all about. I think this is a great embarrassment, both for China and for Pakistan. And India's superior performance, India's superiority in overcoming all these, support that China is giving to Pakistan, and establishing our own superiority with the Akash Tir, with the BrahMos missiles, with the S-400s. I think this has been a great victory for India, and this is something that will definitely be on discussion, number one. Number two, I think Pakistan has been greatly embarrassed by the support that Afghanistan has extended to India at the time of the Pahalgam, immediately after the Pahalgam attack on innocent tourists. And this has been a great blow for Pakistan. And now China, with its great influence in Afghanistan, has forced the acting foreign minister of Afghanistan, Mutaki, to come to Beijing at this time and have a trilateral meeting between Pakistan, Afghanistan, and China. Obviously, China will try and pressurize Afghanistan into towing the Pakistan line and to being more amenable to Pakistan's influence and listening to what they have to say. Let us see how that meeting comes about, because we do know that our foreign minister had a discussion with officiating with acting foreign minister Mutaki, at this time in recent days. So I think these are two very, very important points that we will be watching. I think the global embarrassment that China has suffered because of the poor performance of weaponry, the great misinformation that Pakistan tried to launch. Its defense minister was caught saying that,
But make no mistake that whatever Pakistan did during Operation Sindoor that India launched was in complete connivance with China, or at least they kept China completely in the loop all throughout. So this could also be exchanging notes, deciding their next course of action, and of course also the whole Pakistani propaganda that Islamabad launched, how it got busted, and what their next steps should be. Brahmajilani.
You're absolutely right, Gauri. The Pakistanis dependent on Chinese critical technologies, including satellite reconnaissance, to target Indian sites. That was the extent of the Sino-Pakistan nexus when India launched Operation Sindoor. In any war or any armed conflict, whether it's even a limited operation, when weapons are used, the supplier nation learns from the use of these weapons. If Pakistan's air defenses were found wanting because Chinese air defense systems didn't work as Pakistan had anticipated, it'll give China now the opportunity to improve on those air defense systems. So China will certainly learn whatever it wishes to learn from the performance of Chinese weapons systems during India's Operation Sindoor. The important point, as you underscore, is that this collusion between China and Pakistan, that collusion is now pretty strong and poses a potent threat to India. Unfortunately, we are still struggling as to how we can deal with this nexus. We have tried to befriend China now and then, failed. Again, we have sought to rebuild ties with China. But the fact is that China and Pakistan, as China says, are ironclad brothers. Breaking that nexus will be almost impossible for India. So India will have to deal with this reality. It will have to factor in this collusion in its defense planning and strategic thinking.
All right, Veena Sikri, you want to come in there? I also want to add the bit about the India-China relationship. Remember, all this is happening at a time when there have been tentative but forward movements that have been made in the India-China relationship as well. That thaw has come in, that forward movement has come in. How do you see that getting impacted with its very overt backing of Pakistan and this trip also coming in?
Well, I think that's a big, eye-opener for India. We always knew that 82% of Pakistan's defense supplies came from China, and China has been calling them the all-weather friend, higher than the mountains, deeper than the seas, and so on. But still, the fact that China was so closely involved with the attacks on India by Pakistan, of course, they failed spectacularly, but still that they were so closely involved is a very worrisome aspect. And China also is interested in the Indian market because their economy is weakening, failing. They are worried about the Trump tariffs, but now in the light of, is there going to be a possible US-China, agreement, trade, write-off, whatever, that's all to be watched. But still, all said and done, the India market is important for China. So India will be watching it very carefully, what is happening there. And India is prepared to have a even-handed relationship with China, but certainly attempts like what has happened in Pakistan, the Chinese support for them, is something that we will have to call China out on, I think, very clearly, because this is not in their interest, certainly.
All right, we leave it there. Thank you so much, both of you, for joining me on India Global on a story that has many dimensions and implications for India. And in fact, which is why, viewers, the bottom line really here is that there are three very important aspects that I want to highlight. First, China is rattled. It never thought that its weaponry will be completely demolished by Indian indigenous weaponry. That's happened. So they realize that if at all if they want any escalation, if China wants any escalation on Arunachal or any of the other side, then India can respond. It has responded. The template is there. They can do it once again, and that has rattled China. The second thing is China backed Pakistan all through the entire Operation Sindoor that India launched. Everything that Pakistan did was in cahoots with China, and look how it backfired. Whether it's the global narrative supporting India, whether it's Pakistani propaganda being busted, or the fact that, as I said, its 9 air bases being completely demolished by India. That has hurt China. That is something that they're going to discuss in that meeting. And lastly, they will send out a very clear message that they would want to back this relationship further. It's up to India now to decide how it views the India-China relationship at a time when the global order is looking the way it is. All right, on that note, well, viewers, it is time to slip into a very short break. We come back on the other side with a lot more that is there.
It's pandemonium, it's pandalicious, it's pantastic. It's the world of Panda Bingo.
I like to make a cup of tea, get settled on the sofa and play Panda Bingo. It's like a little bit of me time. Well, me and the pandas.
Whether I'm out and about on my mobile or just at home on the laptop, I can play my favourite Panda Bingo games anytime, anywhere. I just love it.
Brilliant bingo rooms, great games, out of this world offers. Join today at pandabingo.com/bingo.
Please, can you send someone out? The poor thing is so skinny, I don't think he can walk.
Okay, let me take an address.
Today, the RSPCA will answer over 2,000 calls about animal cruelty and neglect.
It's just completely unacceptable, isn't it, mate?
Today, we will need to take over 100 animals into our care. Today, we urgently need your help to save them. Please call 0800 121 4230. Every minute of every day, animals are suffering heartbreaking cruelty and neglect. A gift of just £2 a month will help us do even more. Answer more calls, rescue more innocent animals and provide more life-saving treatments. But today, animals are suffering terrible abuse and neglect. Help us save them. Today, please call 0800 121 4230 or text TODAY to 80039 and give £2 a month. Thank you.
What's wrong with the car?
It's okay, lads. I'm with the AA.
Ah, Bombay mix.
Because the AA has more expert patrols across the country, you'll be back on the road in no time. No wonder more people choose the AA. Join today.
When I woke up, they said, Alyssa, you've got leukemia. We found out that the chemo wasn't working. So at that point, it was like, I'm gonna die. My consultant was looking for these clinical trials, and she found this one at Great Ormond Street. I'm cancer-free now.
Curing Alyssa was a world first, but cancer is still the biggest killer of children in the UK. Will you help us do more? Search Gosh Care to give £3 a month and help build a new children's cancer centre at Great Ormond Street Hospital, a home for breakthrough research with world-class facilities to help beat cancer for more children. Together, with your kind support, we can help save lives and transform children's cancer care for decades to come. Text CARE to 70125 to give £3 a month and help build our new children's cancer centre. Together, we can beat cancer for more children.
watching India Global as we now decode Operation Sindhur's big diplomatic offensive that India has now launched. And in fact, I want to talk more on that. The multi-party delegations that the government has formed. What is the reason for that? Those 7 delegations, 32 nations, including the EU where they will go. One diplomatic motive. What is that? Why is it that India is undertaking this massive diplomatic offensive? Well, there are 4 clear reasons for that, viewers. It has already defeated Pakistan after Operation Sindhur ensured that 9 Pakistani air bases were demolished significantly. And since then, now it wants to ensure it isolates Pakistan further globally. Choke those terror cash pipelines that exist. Remember, IMF gave a bailout to Pakistan, and in fact people within the IMF are now regretting because the questions have been raised as to whether that money is now going to fund the terror infrastructure. India is very sure about it. Our defense minister even said it, that maybe this is going to reach the hands of the terror infrastructure. What happens to the people of Pakistan? To ensure that doesn't happen, this diplomatic offensive is being launched against the terror state of Pakistan. We also want to ensure that in the future, these IMF, World Bank, these financial helplines do not come to Pakistan. We want to also ensure that there is a global consensus that is built against Pakistan's nuclear weapons. No other country in the world is as unstable without any clarity as to who really holds the nuclear button as Pakistan is, which is why a global consensus on Pakistan's nuclear weapons is important. How do we build that? We build that through this diplomatic offensive that India is trying to do. And lastly, there has to be a global action against Pakistan's terror factories. Remember, Operation Sindhur started because of Pahalgam, and that Pahalgam terror attack that shook and scarred India's psyche. And action against terror is still something that needs to be taken on a global scale. And this diplomatic offensive is supposed to provide just that. All right, viewers, on that note, we slip into a very short break. Up next, Trump's tax remittance policy and what effect will that have on the Indians in the US? We come back and decode.
Don't miss Sharp's half-price spring savings. Get Sharp's bespoke fitted furniture for every room, from living spaces to home offices and bedrooms. Many ranges are now half price, including our must-have Manhattan range. Our exclusive Space Plus system means we won't be beaten on space. Plus, you get our 15-year guarantee for total peace of mind. Our half-price spring savings end Bank Holiday Monday. Book your free home design visit today at sharps.co.uk.
It's pandemonium, it's pandalicious, it's pantastic. It's the world of Panda Bingo.
I like to make a cup of tea, get settled on the sofa and play Panda Bingo. It's like a little bit of me time. Well, me and the pandas.
Whether I'm out and about on my mobile or just at home on the laptop, I can play my favourite Panda Bingo games anytime, anywhere. I just love it.
Brilliant bingo rooms, great games, out of this world offers. Join today at pandabingo.com/bingo.
What's wrong with the car? It's okay, lads. I'm with the AA.
Bombay mix.
Because the AA has more expert patrols across the country, you'll be back on the road in no time. No wonder more people choose the AA. Join today.
When facts are fragmented, we put the pieces together. Where power collides with truth, we are there.
Behind me is that massive security arrangements that are in place.
Behind fractured boundaries, we clear the fog of war. Fault Lines with Gauri Dwivedi, only on NDTV World.
In today's interconnected world, India's voice is more crucial than ever. When India speaks, the world listens. At NDTV World, we are that voice, bringing you intelligent and insightful news from India and beyond. From geopolitics and diplomacy to economic shifts, migrations, tech disruptions, and the stories of our diaspora. We cover the
From interesting tech startups to industry-leading companies, politics, sports, culture, curry, cricket. Oh, there's so much to talk about. Like me, if you too thrive on interesting conversations, this is a show you cannot miss. Watch this space to know more about all matters and all people that make Britain what it is today. Out of Britain, with me, Radhika Iyer.
Welcome back. You're watching India Global. It's now time to decode the Trump tax on remittances and how it's set to impact the Indians that are there. Well, it's a new financial storm, quite literally, that's brewing for millions of Indians in America. President Trump's one big, beautiful bill that's just passed a crucial vote. It comes with a stunning new tax. If passed, this law would slap a 5% tax on every dollar that's sent abroad by non-citizens, from H-1B workers to green card holders. That's right, no exemptions, not even for small amounts. Last year alone, Indian origin residents in the US sent over $32 billion home. Under this bill, they would lose more than $1.6 billion instantly. Remember the tax that is proposed. But the bill doesn't stop at just taxing your wallet. It would pour about $46 billion into Trump's border wall, deportation. That's where all this money is going to go. Remember, he's putting in billions of dollars in those immigration-related policies, and he's got to come up with ways to find new money. And this is one such money proposition that he's looking at. But I want to now talk about how this is going to impact Indians. Remember, there's a very large diaspora that lives there. Most of them are immigrants who are either H-1B holders or they are green card holders, and which is why what is happening is going to impact Indians very significantly. Before I get in the big questions, on your screen is we put up a case study. The average salary for a techie in the US is in the range of about $90,000 to $100,000. Let's assume it is about $90,000. If you take away living expenses and education and other expenses, he is in a position, or she is in a position, to send back close to $50,000 as remittances on the higher side. If she's able to do that, then the tax would be 5% on this amount, which is $2,500, a little over 2 lakh rupees. Why? Why is this being taxed? Why skilled labor is being targeted? Those are some of the big questions that we're going to put forth. And let's quickly put that out before we get into important voices from the diaspora to decode this. Well, first up, why is it that NRIs are set to face the heat over this new tax? The scale of the impact is the next question that we are putting out. Next up, make America wealthy again is a burden that rests on the shoulders of the high-performing, high-skilled Indian immigrants. And lastly, how will this impact the Indian techies, the H-1Bs? And the big question that we must always, of course, also point out and ask, which is that, is the American dream in its present state over for a lot of those Indians there? Joining me are two very important diaspora voices to understand this in greater detail. I have with me Dr. Bharat Barai, who is the chairman of the US India Community Foundation, and Pramit Makode, President, Global Citizen Forum, co-founder of the Boston Center of Excellence. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining me on this edition of India Global. Dr. Barai, let me start with you, sir. If this tax does come through, it will be a bit of a blow, isn't it, for people who want to work there and send back money, isn't it?
I think this is ridiculous. For US budget of $7.3 trillion, it's going to add something like $2 billion to $3 billion total, all the remittances. By the way, the Mexicans are number one when it comes to sending the residences. And these are low-skilled workers who work in the farms or in the factories. And whatever is their savings, they try to send it to their families. In case of Indians, it's going to affect more people who are on green card, H-1B visa holders, or students who are working on OPT and trying to send their loan money back. So I think this is a very ridiculous thing, and it has not passed yet, except that last night, Sunday night in the Budget Committee, it was advanced to the full House for consideration. I hope it does not pass, but because this is such a small amount in the total thing, it may pass anyway. but this is very unfair, especially to the people who are making less amount of money and trying to support their relatives or trying to pay back their student loans.
Indeed. Pramod Pakude, you want to come in on there, your response on something like this. Gains may be very limited, but the downside would be disproportionate to all those immigrants wanting a better life for themselves and their family back home.
Certainly, I do agree that this is going to be a setback to a lot of Indian Americans who are living here. But we need to also understand the broader context that Trump 2.0, it was very clearly mentioned that it is going to be America first. It is going to be make America great again. And he has very categorically said that one of the important tasks is to make the balance sheet right. We have 34 trillion plus dollar of deficit. So there will be many more measures that you will see. But the good part here, what I see is that this is not an executive order. So you still have a chance that we can debate, we can lobby, and people like me and Barai Saab and many others, including the diplomatic channels of India, we need to use that and make sure that we talk with the congressmen, we talk with the senators, and tell them the human side of it as well, that Indian Americans, when they come to America, mostly on H-1B visa workers who will get impacted the most, they are not coming to America just by themselves, because America has a shortage of skilled labor, and that's why we are here. And if we are contributing significantly to the American economy, that's where we need to be seen in a different angle. And we need to educate the congressman. And there is a good chance that we might be able to reduce this percentage. We are talking about right now 5% of the remittance tax, or there is a chance that we can reduce it, or we can get the recredit back, because it is not just the remittances right now. There are, as you have mentioned, the path to citizenship or path to green card is a very long path in America. So many of them who worked here for 6 years, 8 years, even 10, 12 years, they don't get a citizenship. They have a significant contribution to their 401k account, to their IRA account, and to their social security account. Now, if the legitimate account that they have and the savings that they have, where the America is not giving any benefits and reaping the benefits of their contribution for so long, if that get taxed by 5%, it's totally unfair.
It is
So
unfair,
I think there is a good
unwarranted.
chance.
Hold your thought there, sir. I want to get in, Dr. Barai, on the fact that what are the possibilities of something like this actually going through? Because like you mentioned, even the Mexican political leadership, Mexican president is extremely upset. There's a very large section of Indians who are, up in arms about a proposal like this. What are the odds of something like this actually passing through?
Well, it may pass through, though we will try to get it overturned or removed, because it has a small impact in total US budget, as I said, about 2.5 billion out of 7.3 trillion of budget. Second thing, this tax applies to non-citizens only. So if I send the money as US citizen to my family, then it will not be taxed, but it will be taxed only to green card holders, H-1B visa holders, and people who are on student visa. Now, the way Trump has tried to put it in the budget, those illegal sending money abroad, so it has been put nicely to try to deceive the lawmakers, but it applies really to all non-citizens. So we'll try our best. I would say there is 50-50 chance that it will pass, because he will claim that this is the money that will be used for better control of immigration and building the wall. Let's see, we'll try.
Which brings me to ask a question to both of you, in fact. Prabhat, let me start with you, and then I ask this question to Dr. Barai as well, which is that, is Trump fanning these anti-immigrant sentiments even more? And, it started with illegals, but this is not illegals anymore, right? This is about legal immigrants. Even there, is he fanning an anti-immigrant sentiment?
I think that one of the side effects of all these type of bills is there will be anti-immigrant sentiment that is definitely getting in more prominence, which is not good. And but as I said, the overall context is very clear right from beginning when he won the election, from the election night speech till the date. Whatever he talks, he has to balance the balance sheet. He has to bring down the deficit. He has to act very conclusively and strictly on the illegal immigrants. All these measures deter the illegal immigrants, but unfortunately, the legal immigrants and the Indians in particular, if they are getting impacted, it is job of ours, including the Indian diplomatic mission and people, community leaders like me, Dr. Barai and many others, that we need to work towards how to bring a fair and just thing for our Indian immigrants and not to get caught up with all these bills which are putting us on the wrong side of the equation.
Dr. Barai, you want to come in there, sir, on the anti-immigrant sentiment when it comes to the legal community as well?
You know, this is kind of very strange. Trump's wife, she is an immigrant from Slovenia. Trump's mother, she was an immigrant from Scotland. His top advisor, Elon Musk, he is an immigrant from South Africa. Many of his technical advisors, they are immigrants from somewhere. So why he is trying to pitch it in? Now, he is not trying to call it against immigrants because many of these so-called immigrants are also US citizens now. They will say, oh, it does not apply to US citizens. It only applies to people who have not become US citizens. So, as I said, this is very ridiculous on his part because of the very minimal impact, favorable impact on the budget. And yes, you are right that it may sort of form kind of anti-immigrant sentiment, but really that is not the case, Gauri. I've been living in US now for 50 years, and we are part of the society. There are some white extremists, but they are very few in number because most of the Americans, their life is impacted by people who are here. For example, doctors, there is 1 out of 10 doctors in USA is an immigrant from India, maybe citizen now. So they do come across people who are not white skinned for their medical care, and same way in the universities. So it's not so much of anti-immigrant, but Trump is trying to use this card for useless purpose of generating $2 billion in a $7.3 trillion budget. But you are right, it may sort of, this may be a work of so-called MAGA Republicans. That's a small section of Trump supporters called Make America Great Again, who are sort of considered white extremists.
All right, quick closing comments. Mr. Makwade, from you, very quickly, sir. If you were to advise anybody who will be directly impacted by this, whether the H-1B, whether the green card holders who send money back, what would that advice be?
Don't get upset with, as you, I think somebody has mentioned about the American dream. The American dream is still very strong. There is a great potential of Indo-America working together, both on the technology front and the people-to-people ties. This type of taxes, I think there will be, it will be corrected, particularly when we talk with the right folks on the emotional side of it. And the people-to-people ties are going to go further stronger, and Indian and American should work very closely because the biggest elephant in the room is China and not what we are talking right now here.
All right, we leave it there. Thank you so much, Dr. Barai and Mr. Makwade, for speaking to me on India Global, on a story that impacts almost every Indian who is in America, barring a few. And in fact, bottom line, viewers, as far as this story is concerned, is very simple. There are very clear 3 reasons why Donald Trump wants to tax remittances that a lot of people that they're going to be sending, but of course we talk about Indians. The reason for that, point number 1, he's come up with a gazillion immigration related policies. Someone's got to pay the bill, whether it's the border wall that he wants to construct or whether it's the number of illegals that he wants to deport. Every single thing costs money and he needs to shore up finances. This, he thinks, is probably the easiest way. Second, he's trying to very clearly now fan anti-immigrant sentiment as a whole in America. It started with illegal immigrants, but it's now about anti-immigrants in general. No distinction whatsoever. And the third thing is, let's not forget, President Trump is also trying to ensure that money doesn't leave America. When this 5% tax is imposed, even if 50%, 30% of the people who send money decide not to do so, then that money stays in America, in the American economy. And that's his third clear objective. But the impact of this would be highly skilled workers would be impacted, something that Donald Trump would not like, more so if he wants to make America great again. All right, on that note, a quick break. I come back with more stories on the other side. Stay with me.
As a dad, I know life's unpredictable. It's all fun and games until it's not.
You okay?
I want my kids to always be looked after. That's why I'm not putting things off anymore and protecting the life we've built by calling Smart Insurance.
Hi, how can I help?
Hi, I'd like a quick quote, please.
Okay, you can choose a benefit amount up to £750,000 depending on your age.
Brilliant.
If you're a UK resident aged 18 to 64, you can apply with just a few health and lifestyle questions. For £250,000 of cover, the price starts at just £14.77 a month.
That's less than I thought, and could help my wife pay off the mortgage.
With our Smart Family Guarantee, you'll have peace of mind.
That's good to know.
You'll also receive a 100% advance in the event of terminal illness and 10% cashback on your first year's premiums. That's the Smart Cashback. Plus, you get your choice of a £125 gift card.
Protect the life you've built the smart way. To get a free life insurance quote today, call our specialist UK team on 0800 977 6797 or visit smartinsurance.co.uk.
Whatever you need to ask about cancer, Macmillan's free support line is just a call away.
Hello, Macmillan.
Whether it's money,
Am I going to lose my job?
getting on with life,
Can I still go abroad? Get insurance?
or just need someone to listen,
How do I tell them?
our specialist advisors are here to help as often as you need them. Whatever you need to ask, cancer, money, life, call us now on 0808 134 1000.
I bought cars on finance, so I've made my claim.
If our lenders charge hidden commissions, then I've made my claim.
I could be on thousands.
I've made my claim.
I've made my claim.
I've made my claim.
I've made my claim. It's so quick and simple.
You could be owed thousands in hidden commissions from vehicles bought on finance since 2007, even without the details.
I've made my claim.
Trust myclaimgroup.co.uk.
Claims made simple.
It's been a difficult year for our family. We're finally going through my Tom's things. I want to make him proud, and that starts by making sure our son is protected.
Welcome to British Seniors, the UK's #1 rated provider of over 50s life insurance.
Hi, I'd like a quick quote.
No problem. We're proud to offer our seniors lifetime guarantee. With 100% of claims having been paid, we guarantee your premiums will never go up and that you'll speak to one of our specialists in the UK.
That's great.
UK residents aged 50 to 80 are guaranteed to be accepted. Depending on your age, your loved ones can get a cash payout up to £10,000. Plus, when you sign up, you'll receive a £135 gift card and free 24/7 GP advice and health services.
That money could help with debts or my funeral costs. I'll do it.
Be proud to protect your loved ones with British Seniors. To get a free quote today, call our UK team on 0800 158 552 or visit britishseniors.co.uk.
Board of Control for Cricket in India has decided to withdraw from all events under the Asian Cricket Council amidst recent tensions with Pakistan, as per Indian media. India has not played bilateral cricket against Pakistan since 2007 due to tense relations between the two sides. Both countries only play each other in international tournaments on neutral grounds. All right, with that, a quick update on some of the other important stories making news. First up, 4 Indian nationals, including 2 YouTubers, are under investigation over suspected links with Pakistan's Inter-Services Intelligence or ISI. The Uttar Pradesh Special Task Force has arrested a businessman named Shahzad from Tanda, accusing him of cross-border smuggling and espionage. In Haryana, YouTuber Jyoti Malhotra was held for allegedly being groomed by Pakistani operatives. Authorities say she was in direct contact with Pakistani intelligence operatives and had visited Pakistan multiple times. In Kaithal, Devendra, a resident of Mastgarh, has been arrested for allegedly passing sensitive information to Pakistani army. Another YouTuber, Priyanka Senapati from Odisha, is under probe after her recent visit to Kartarpur and ties with Malhotra came to light. All 4 are being investigated amidst heightened alert following Operation Sindoor. Top Lashkar-e-Taiba terrorist Razaullah Nizamani, also known as Abu Sayyullah, has been shot dead by unidentified gunmen in Pakistan's Sindh province on Sunday. The killing reportedly occurred near Matli town while Sayullah, who had government protection, was leaving his residence. He was behind 3 major terror attacks in India: the 2001 CRPF camp assault in Rampur, the 2005 strike on the Indian Science Congress in Bangalore, and the 2006 attack on the RSS headquarters in Nagpur. His killing comes just days after India's Operation Sindoor eliminated nearly 100 terrorists, including top operatives like Yusuf Azhar and Mudassir Ahmed. As part of that offensive, Indian forces also targeted Lashkar's Murid K base and Jaish-e-Mohammed stronghold in Bahawalpur. Analysts say the elimination of Sayullah marks a significant step back for the terror network supported by Pakistan's military establishment. Bangladeshi actor Nusrat Faria, best known for portraying former Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina in a high-profile biopic, has been sent to jail in an attempted murder case. She was arrested at Dhaka's international airport on Sunday while preparing to board a flight to Thailand. Authorities say the case stems from last year's massive protests that led to the collapse of the Hasina-led Awami League government. Faria was produced in court under heavy security. Her lawyer has applied for bail, with a hearing that's set for the 22nd of May. Since the rise of the interim government, civil society members, artists and journalists that are linked to the previous government have faced arrests and harassment. Rights groups warn that the political crackdown, combined with a delay in holding new elections, is pushing Bangladesh towards complete authoritarianism under Mohammad Yunus. Israel's intensified bombing campaign in Gaza has crippled the region's healthcare system further. The Indonesian hospital, one of the last functioning facilities in northern Gaza, has been forced out of service following drone strikes and a continued siege by Israeli forces. Health officials warn that all public hospitals in North Gaza are now out of service, putting probably thousands of wounded and sick Palestinians at risk. Medical teams are overwhelmed and supplies are nearly depleted as crisis continues. Meanwhile, Benjamin Netanyahu has announced a limited easing of the months-long blockade to allow food into Gaza, but only to support expanded military operations. Humanitarian situation remains of concern in Gaza. US President Donald Trump is expected to hold a high-stakes phone call with Russian President Vladimir Putin at 1400 hours GMT today, followed by talks with Ukrainian President Zelensky and NATO leaders. Trump said that his goal is to stop the bloodbath, claiming that 5,000 troops from both sides are dying each week. But Trump's decision to speak with Putin first has raised concerns in Kyiv, where officials fear being sidelined. Zelensky is likely to push back, especially after Trump downplayed Ukraine's role by saying no major progress will happen until he meets Putin face-to-face. The Kremlin confirmed the call and said it would factor in last week's Istanbul negotiations. Meanwhile, France, Germany and Italy, along with the UK, told Donald Trump that a ceasefire must be unconditional and that Moscow must take peace talks seriously. The diplomacy comes as Ukraine reported Russia's largest drone barrage since the full-scale war began, with nearly 300 explosive drones launched across several regions. Pope Leo XIV and US Vice President J.D. Vance met at the Vatican on Monday as part of renewed American efforts to push for a ceasefire in the ongoing war in Ukraine. Vance, who is a Catholic convert, led the US delegation to the Mass, inaugurating the first American pope, joined by Secretary of State Marco Rubio. The Vatican said the meeting included calls for adherence to humanitarian and international law, with both sides stressing for a need for a negotiated solution. The Pope reaffirmed his readiness to host peace talks and continue the humanitarian work, including prisoner swaps and reunification of Ukrainian children. Vance also met Ukrainian President Zelensky and several other leaders as diplomatic activity intensifies. Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni spoke to President Trump and European heads of state ahead of Donald Trump's expected call with Vladimir Putin. Pope, also who's a former missionary in Peru, has vowed every effort to help end the war and continue his predecessor's focus on peace and compassion. All right, with that, it's a wrap on this edition of India Global. Thanks so very much for watching this.
What's wrong with the car? It's okay, lads. I'm with the AA. Ah, Bombay mix.
Because the AA has more expert patrols across the country, you'll be back on the road in no time. No wonder more people choose the AA. Join today.
For such gentle souls, working donkeys in the Middle East lead terribly hard lives. For such trusting animals, donkeys are too often abused and exploited. These sensitive, loyal animals often suffer the cruelest pain. This is the hard, painful life that donkeys in Egypt, the West Bank, Israel, and Gaza have to endure. Too often, it's not only a hard life, it is also a short one. But there is something you can do to make their hard lives much easier. Please call Safe Haven for Donkeys on 0800 144 5802 or go online and give a life-saving gift of just £2 a month. Safe Haven for Donkeys is dedicated to transforming lives in the region. Your gift means our mobile vet clinics can provide emergency treatment for injured donkeys. We heal wounds and ensure donkeys aren't suffering. We also work with local communities, helping them to look after and cherish their donkeys. You'll help make sure there's always a place at our sanctuaries for abandoned and abused donkeys who have nowhere else to turn. Please call 0800 144 5802, text SAFE4 to 84902, go online or scan the QR code and give just £2 a month and help change a donkey's life today.
It's time for some tombola. Working on that flat pack. Open for fun. Been bulking up the six-pack. Open for fun.
The Harry's Starter Set. Get our trim and razor, shave gel and travel cover with 30% off and free delivery. Harry's. Feel good, fellas.
This summer, take on the 1 Million Step Challenge for Diabetes UK. Just over 10,000 steps a day, 3 months, one life-changing challenge. Step for a happier, healthier you. Step for your loved ones. Step for everyone affected by diabetes. From the 1st of July, pound the pavement. And every pound you raise will help fund life-changing research and support. Because when you move, we move for everyone living with diabetes. So, sign up for the 1 Million Step Challenge. Just search Step for Diabetes and take that life-changing first step today.
Sources say the government has refuted US role in the ceasefire, denies nuclear signaling by Pakistan. 12 people arrested from Punjab, Haryana and Uttar Pradesh on allegations of spying on India as security forces launch a crackdown on suspected spies across the country. No refuge for refugees from India's top court. The Supreme Court orally remarks that India is not a dharamshala to host refugees from all over the world and refuses to intervene in the detention of a Sri Lankan Tamil refugee. Well, first up this evening, our special focus on a perennial issue for Bengaluru. Heavy rains across Karnataka as pre-monsoon showers intensified, and the first big spell of rain was enough to expose Bengaluru's civic infrastructure, with several residential areas inundated, roads clogged and huge traffic snarls. Heavy showers late evening yesterday overnight left the city waking up to the perennial rain chaos. Unfortunately, a 35-year-old woman died in a wall collapse in the city's Whitefield area. In several other parts like Koramangala, HSR layout and many more, there were cases of water entering homes and inundations. Boats had to be deployed in some areas like Horamavu and near the famous Manyata Tech Park. The Chief Minister and his deputy were at the BBMP war room to take stock of the situation. The Indian Meteorological Department has issued a yellow alert